All righty then, live today. Right at 10 o'clock, everything went fubar. The internet went off, which is outside of me, not just, my internal things on the computer. Sometimes it stops connecting, but also uh, the computer decided right then to update and had to reboot, which I guess turned out to be good timing because it had to wait for the internet anyway. So I have another computer where I could see how the internet comes on. Pretty interesting, pretty interesting. All happened all at the same time. And because of that, I want to do a slightly different open today. I want to share. Well, that's what it's called today, sharing. I want to share the art, and also Norma asked me specifically about the rules of sentience. Now, I don't have rules of sentience published yet, Norma, um, so I can't share. I can't send you a link, but I can share via screen sharing, which I will do. Uh, I just need to get started, load up the programs here to get to that. Everything is slow. Everything is slow. It's quite amazing. But we'll get there. We'll get there. And just chat about sharing. In the meantime, how important sharing is. We so conditioned to telling or to saying stuff in authoritative ways because we don't want to look stupid, and through superiority paradigm we want to be authoritative, etc., etc. All of this stuff which just causes trouble. And so we don't share because also we think that sharing is going to make us vulnerable or look weak or whatever. I don't know. There's all sorts of, crazy reasons why we don't share. Well, because we grow up in a crazy system and it makes us a bit crazy. Superiority paradigm, it's a crazy system. It really is. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. It's all of a mess. And we need to understand that. It's very important to understand that and realize that we don't live sanely. Just look around you in the world. I don't see sanity much. I mean, I see mostly in most people, but I also see, there's more insanity there than we'd like to acknowledge. It's kind of important. Kind of important. All right. So this sharing is, of course, it's key. It's key to Nobelia-Living. That's what it's all about. Sharing, and not just, okay, I share and put it out there, but in capital S sharing, the intent is for collaboration, collaborative sharing. So when you share, somebody else, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then they give feedback, and then you add to that, and you add more to that, and you build as a result. And you see this, when Bina and I interact, like when we're doing the capital R readings, right? I'm sharing the chapter of the book that we've been doing recently, right? From the Ask Biella books. And then Bina says, very often, I says, yeah, but well, I said most people. I said, well, isn't it almost all? I mean, it's a very simple thing. I'm just using a simple example here. Now, I could have gone deeper into that, but I was happy to just accept that. I could have said, well, and I thought about it. I said, well, most and almost all. Yeah, I could have had a nice debate about it. I'll just go with Venus perception. I'm happy because, I like to add in a bit of alternative perspective. So that was very powerful there. But I'm just saying, all right, it's very small, very small instance of collaboration. Sometimes we will go much deeper and we'll think, and like there was a paragraph in the last time we were reading where Venus said, that I don't quite get it. And then we had some detailed discussion, and eventually I ended up changing the paragraph quite substantially as a result. See, collaboration. It's a beautiful thing, same with Norma. Norma asked a question or said something, and it changed the chapter. I love this. I absolutely love this part of sharing, the collaborative sharing. It's quite wonderful. And there's many things that we can do collaboratively. and it's part of Biella's story in the New Nobles on Nobelia, book one, the New Nobles. In that book, in the origin story, there's a nice example of how they collaborate to put all the accoutrements on Biella to make her appropriate for the telling of the origin story. They change her dramatically, and it's a whole bunch of them, and they start, and one starts, and another adds, and Camillus is like, but how are they doing this? Like, where's it being directed? And Nora says, appropriateness. That's it. They all know what the end result will be. And each time somebody adds, it changes the whole thing. And then whatever you add is relevant to what's already there. And maybe that something that's added turns out to be inappropriate and it'll get subtracted and so on. So it's a collaborative effort where those that are collaborating are aware of the end goal, the end objective, the end intent. They keep that in mind and they keep going, and it can happen very rapidly, but it's just through that putting there, seeing where, okay, all right, and then you add, subtract. It's just a fantastic process. It's not even trial and error, really. It's just creativity in its purest form. It's quite fantastic. It's quite fantastic. The key is to know or to have that common intent, right? They know what is appropriate. Now, this for how Biella is going to appear, how they're putting all this outfit, costume, makeup, everything that's there. 'Cause it's a story. It's like almost like a production, like a little mini play, like a one-man play. They all are aware of what is appropriate. But in that appropriateness is a huge range that can be had. All right. I must share it to Norma and I must share it to Lisa because I want to share about the paintings to Norma. I'll send it in. Norma, where's Lisa? Where's Lisa? Search for people. I want to share this to Lisa so that, because I want to share with you, Lisa. I want to show you about the paintings. You asked about it specifically elsewhere. Okay. 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 So let's hope Lisa comes and joins us. I suspect, I haven't looked just yet, but I suspect and hope that Norma's here. Norma, are you here? Oh, you're here, Norma. All right. Let's get everything sorted and ready. There we go. There we go. I have lots of sharing to do today. Lots of sharing to do. Okay. Just getting everything up and ready. Right at 10 o'clock, like I said, everything went went askew, to put it nicely. Right at 10 was quite fascinating, right on time. The internet died and the computer had to update. And when my computer updates, well, it installed the update, so it took a long time. And of course, it reboots then. Um, and in that rebooting, when I start new, I have to load all my programs and get them sorted. And I have a lot of stuff active, as you probably have seen in my sharing. If you look down at my taskbar, you'll see there's a ton of things down the bottom there. Uh, so I do a lot of stuff simultaneously. And you said, but, doesn't that somewhat oxymoronic? No, because some things you do and then they pause and wait. They upload or whatever. Well, while that does, then I do another thing. And some things are, like now for this, I have programmed like Grain, you see. Now I have a window where Grain is open and Substack, which I share to. Instead of opening those windows and logging in all this every time, I just leave them open. It's much more convenient. I like to be efficient and save fractions of a second. You say, yeah, but it's only a click you're saving. Yeah, but you know what? How many clicks do you add in a day? If you could cut those down by half, you're going to be surprised how much time you're going to save if you spend all day on the computer. Yeah. To me, in terms of web design and anything to do with online where you're clicking on the computer, the click is the most precious thing. I see designers are very sloppy about this, where they force you to make extra clicks. It's like, come on, man. Yes, it's only 1 or 2 clicks in your particular program, but I'm doing hundreds of things a day, and those clicks add up, and they make a lot of time overall. You don't notice that in the moment, but boy, after a while you notice it. All right. So I want to share this, and let's get that loaded and get this loaded. I got lots of things to share today. Lisa, are you here? Norma, are you here? Let me know. Because then, depending on who's here, I'll share first. No one yet. All right. Okay. No problem then. I'll share the art. Uh, Now, this is art that I'm creating and have created, and I will create more for my books. When I when I started posting a number of years back now already, it's quite a long time ago already, actually. Yeah, 10 years ago. Wow, wow. Okay. 10 years ago when I started creating posting and writing. I never wanted to, but the universe forced me into it, by the way. I didn't have much of a choice. When I did that, um, I at that time, what I did was kind of revolutionary. Yes, I know it's hard to believe, but I made posts where I incorporated the art into the body of the article. Yes, I know that it's not something that I suppose you'd have some books specifically, but when it came to people posting, they put the picture on the top and then underneath was the post, and that was it, right? I never saw it any other way. But I said, no, I want to have the posts be part of the story, right? And like where the story flows around the picture, for instance. Yeah. And I put the pictures on the left, I put them on the right, I put cross pictures, I put long pictures, all sorts of different pictures. And I just used art that I could find on the internet, which was representative. Right. And that was kind of sometimes it took me more time to find the art than it did to actually write the article. Even though the articles could take some time sometimes too. And I put a lot of work into the art, and it was very important to me to have art that represents and connects. I still have on my computer, I have tens of thousands of pictures. Because you download a lot and you don't necessarily use them all, and so this was all uh, how it came about, that I had all the art. And then I had been into gaming a lot, and I was still, at the time I started writing, I was playing, online games and the very sophisticated MMOs. And I got into taking screenshots, which is just photography, really. I mean, you still have to position yourself. You have to make sure the light is from the right direction, all this. And I wish they'd make it a little. I think they have started to. But anyway, I took tens of thousands of screenshots as well. And I use some of those. Now they come out a bit dark, and I struggle to get them light enough to use in the posts. So I just did it for my own enjoyment, but I did use some in the posts. And they're very artistic because all the games of those big MMOs, you are inside art. It blows my mind. It's the most incredible thing, because when you're playing those games, yes, they use the computer, but somebody has to design whatever the computer is going to use and generate, right? So when you're seeing a mountain and a tree, this is somebody's art. And, they have to arrange it and put it together. It's all art, all art. The entire thing is your inside art. It's most unbelievable. It's really cool. And I wish I could have used more of those pictures. Like I said, when I put them into the posts, they were always too dark, and I could never get them light enough. Just the nature of the screenshot, how it takes, because your eye is adjusted to that. I suppose I could set my game where the brightness is very high. It will be not fun to play. I suppose there was a way around it, but it wasn't really worth it to me. And I'm glad I didn't, because it it forced me to look for other avenues. So yes, I found some nice stuff, and that was also license free when I started. There was so much art on the internet that was just there, here, and everywhere, and nobody really bothered. And it was all just available. And then the artists started saying, "Hey, no, no, no," and then people got and had to have royalty free and all that. I still found lots of nice art, but now when I published the books, I said, I want to include art and make this a part of it, like I do in my posts, because the books that I'm publishing now, Ask Biella, right, the two of them, these are uh, well, okay. These come from articles that I wrote. I mean, started in a newspaper, the Gateway Gazette. My friend Tanya owned it at the time, right? And it was an advice column in the newspaper, and she used to publish it every week. It's kind of interesting. I had a lot of questions just from interacting and in various places all over the show, and some from readers too. But I had them from many different sources. So when I started, Tanya said, how do I know? Uh, how do I know that you'll have enough, that you'll stick with us and you won't just bail on me after a few weeks. She didn't know me very well at the time, and she didn't want to start a column where I might bail on her, and then she's committed. So I ended up putting together, you know uh, from questions that people had asked me over the years, um, 60 60 things. Oh, some of them were posts I'd already made, and just converted them into an Ask Biella, because it's the same in the sense, and then I changed it to put them into how Biella would answer, because Biella's slightly different to me, even though Biella's my creation. So anyway, so I wrote these 60 articles, and then she started publishing them one by one. But then, as newspapers go, they didn't stay and last. We're in a different world, and even the online newspapers, many of them just flat out struggled. They didn't survive, and the Gateway Gazette, even though it was surviving, my friend was on her own, and her mother had been helping her, but then her mother died, and so a lot of reasons happened for the newspaper not to be continued. And she got a really good job that she loves, and I kind of helped her a little bit there. So I just said, be yourself. Don't worry about your technical qualifications. Focus on your character, and I love you. And it's exactly what happened, right? And she's very happy, and I'm very thrilled when people who really work hard and who've struggled. I just absolutely gives me great joy when things work out good for them, and when they end up in a good space. Lisa's in a good space, Norma's in a good space. I just love this. It gives my heart much joy. Um, okay, yeah, yeah. Well, come on, Lisa, come on the live. Comment if you are, Lisa. Comment if you are, and same with you, Norma. Well, you always say hello, so you know already. Okay. Uh, let's let's share. Let's share. Let's share. Let's share. So many things going on my poor computer. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. That's interesting. It didn't open the file that I need to show Norma. Ah. All right. Well, Norma, I'll get to you in a bit. I'll get to you in a bit. That file didn't open for whatever reason. I don't know why. Hmm. Maybe it's still loading. Maybe it's slow. In the meantime, let's share the pictures. And on this is, like I was saying, I really wanted art that is much more representative, that actually depicts what I want, not me finding the closest that I could. Yeah. And let's start with Ask Biella Book 1, because you'll see all the art here, and then you'll see it in context as well. Let me do screen share. There we go. All right. This is the cover for Book 1. Now, obviously, this comes from an image, but the image that this comes from this is about all of it. There's not much that's cropped off here, which is rather interesting. Maybe a little bit over there, but it came zoomed in like this. Now, for Book 2, I wanted the same image, but with the face turned the other way, and still looking at the camera, but with the face turned the other way, and maybe a bit more zoomed out, and still more or less in the same style, like you would say a photographer or an artist, just give me another look at this same person. I could not. I could not get it. It's quite amazing. I could not get it. I must have tried. I don't know. It's hundreds of attempts. know, just goes to show, you get what you want sometimes, but then to get more, well, I can't complain, I got to this from try. Nope, that's not right. Nope, that's not right. Nope, try again, try again, try again. You got to prompt and refine and tune, and there's lots of work that goes into it. And a lot of people don't realize this, but okay. And then you get what you want, but sometimes you only get it once and you never see it again. I've never seen this again. It's just amazing, just and I love creative styles like this, and this it's abstract realism to me. I don't know. That's what I would call it. So it's book 3 of the realism series, but it deals with abstract topics, not abstract as in remote and removed, but abstract as in overview. And also, this book is like this look is a no nonsense look. Yes. In other words, there's no BS here, no BS at all. Not only from Biella, but also from you as a reader. If you're going to really read these articles, you need to be honest with yourself also. It's not that she's actually dealing with brutally honest topics. Not. She's actually extremely diplomatic. But even so, you have to be honest about being open. If you aren't going to be open, then I need to put that in the introduction. I try not to have introductions because people don't read them. But in the Ask Biella section, sorry, about Biella, right? So there's the books, upcoming books, contents, a lot of chapters. Yeah, I had a bunch of them. I mean, I split them in half. I had ended up like 75 chapters. Now, 40 is not half of 75, but it came that way because of word count. Yeah. So I had like 80,000 words totally, which you can put in one book, but because of the nature of the book, and these are all questions and articles. Each article is so dense, it would be a very long book to read. And besides, I like the idea of publishing 2 of them. So yeah, I want to start off with the Biella picture. Now, the reason I'm sharing this art is because I was chatting earlier with Lisa, and this came from before when I was making the articles. That Lisa said, "Oh, you only publish beautiful women," and I said, I search for pictures of women that represent nobility, moreness, integrity, honesty, etc. And when you search for that, well, unfortunately, especially when you're looking through art, you don't often see art pictures of women who aren't beautiful. It's actually very hard to find. Very, very, very hard to find. Very difficult. And this is not exactly my image of Biella. Yes, Biella is very slim, and she's got kind of an elongated head, and she's got this little curl over here, but it's not behind the ear; it's coming from the front, and sometimes on the other side too, right? And the hair is more shoulder length, but it's closer. I mean, this is still that very typical convention. And when you have an aggregate of what is considered beautiful in a woman, unfortunately they default to some like the Angelina Jolie actually is so very is a staple that's come to influence so much. And I don't particularly care for that. It's not anywhere near what I see as that is what's on Nobelia. Anyway, because to me, the beauty there represents the qualities. So, like a pouty mouth, there's no pouting on Nobelia. It doesn't matter what you look like. Yeah. So the actual appearance beauty is irrelevant. I'm looking for good qualities to represent this. Honesty. Okay, is this person representing self-honesty and honesty? Yes, I feel so. Do they represent somebody who has integrity? Yes, I feel so. Could it be more so? Yes, but at least it does. Is there an openness here? Is there a caring, a consideration, a humility, and also a self-assurance, and also a sensitivity, a sobriety, a sophistication? That's very, very hard. You just try and look for paintings of sophisticated women. They have the wrong idea of sophistication. They'll give, like, I don't know, rich. That's the understanding out there, in the common understanding of search engines and AI and algorithms and stuff. Sophisticated means wealthy. No, it doesn't. You can be poor and sophisticated. Yeah, I have a wonderful story about the Bushman fellow who all the experts came to. He just liked to talk, and they thought he was the leader, but he wasn't. He just, liked to talk. He became that a little bit eventually. He was kind of forced into it, but he was incredibly sophisticated in how he took time to find out what the people, those experts and boffins that came from all over the world and had their theories, and he found out exactly what their theory was, and then he started feeding it back to them, because he wanted to make them happy. Incredible sophistication, though. Yeah. Anyway, so I start off with a Biella, and then there's another potential Biella, but also I'm trying to combine this a little bit. This could be either Biella or the person asking the question. Yeah. I want smart friends. What's a good way to do that? Now, this could be coming from the question, but it could also be Biella saying, if you listen to the question, eh, that's there's a problem with your question, right? Which he says, right? I hear you, but I feel your search focused is misplaced on smartness. So I think this really represents that. The kindness, because there's a deep kindness and sophistication here, but also an unwillingness to answer the question as asked because it's a flawed question. She could. I mean, there is a way to find smart friends, but if you succeed in what you're getting, you're going to end up in that bubble where you're over evaluating smart. I don't care one iota for smart friends. I have, and I've also got friends who themselves will say they aren't smart. I think they're smart, but they say they aren't. I love them. They're fantastic. They're wonderful. They're brilliant. They're awesome. Yeah, because of the goodness. So this is what the article is about. And I thought this picture is giving a nice representation. And also, I enjoyed the art style. It was hard to come by. And I don't want all of it in this art style. I like a more defined, like the cover picture, that that sharpness, that precise, and that it has creativity, it has art, but it's also tight. It's also together. I like that. So this is difficult to achieve. Again, you're starting to see the process. And this one is just about friends, and I just had it, and it seemed to be nice that, a couple of friends, a bit young, but that's okay. Maybe this is a teenager that's asking this, yes, or even younger. This age is quite possible, yes, because that is a question that we ask at that age. So I thought, all right, I want to make this also all inclusive, and to represent that the book isn't just, you know, it's for all ages, absolutely. And actually, I will put it in teen and young adult categories. Yes, it's incredibly sophisticated. The book, the many of the chapters, all of them really, they layered and deep and they're profound. But that doesn't mean that that teens and young adults, even children, can't read them. Yes, there's a good use of vocabulary, but like when I was reading stuff like this when I was young, you just go and look it up, for heaven's sake, especially with the internet today. I mean, you just tap away if you're reading it on your Kindle or whatever. I don't know if I suspect they have thesauruses and dictionaries built into them. If not, if you're reading it on your computer or your phone, or even if you're reading a book, you got your phone there, Google, okay, what does enamorment mean or whatever? I don't know why that word popped into my head. I'm enamored. I am enamored with goodness and earnestness. Yeah. So. Mm. Sharing, yes. Here's this quote from Biella. Sharing has a sweetness and wonder all its own. That's what it's all about, sharing. All right. So here's another picture of Biella. It's very similar to that earlier one. And again, it's not exactly what I want out of Biella, but it's got nice art to it, and it's got this clarity of being, that this could be somebody who's answering the questions. At least I hope so. You know, there's that conventional idea of a pretty mouth, which uh, I don't know who can that whole Botox thing and all that and messed it. But anyway, how can I find peace and happiness? Dear Mona. And it's also, the questions sometimes are very conventional like this. This is a very conventional question. And it's coming from that conventional space. So a bit of conventionality. Okay, not bad. But I like this, the art of it. And this was very nice, right? It creates a nice mood. Creates a nice mood. So yeah, we're shifting to a little different mood, a little bit more zoomed out, a little bit more chill, and of course to represent peace and happiness. Now, these pictures, as opposed to the ones where I have the faces, these were in my quest to create images of Biella, and I downloaded dozens and dozens, but I made, I don't know, probably thousands. You make them say, nope, 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 too much this, too much this, they represent qualities that I don't care for. Like I say, just that spoiltness you see in pictures of women, especially more modern paintings. There's that a bit of spoiltness and just, well, I guess in guys too, but that smugness and self-satisfaction or superiority paradigm qualities. I think I'm wonderful, which is okay. It's not even okay. It's kind of legitimized and praised and rewarded in the superiority paradigm. But this is not Nobelia. I want nothing to do with that. It's hard to get rid of it and get away from it. So anyway, I wanted to also show just a bit more. So these pictures are made from the content of the chapter. Yes, which I'm using this as a to connect it to create the art to connect to the chapter. So obviously, internal circumstances, peace and happiness. I mean, it's a bit cliched that it's not the only way you can find peace and happiness. But if you go and do this kind of thing and think about it, and take that time for introspection, you'll get there. Hey, unfortunately, when I scroll like this, I don't know why it jumps to the end of the next chapter. So yeah, I brought in a slightly different Biella, still a little bit very conventional looking, but a little bit of a different potential Biella, but also a potential questioner. Yes, and this was asked by somebody I know, and I could put their picture in here, an art version of them, but wonderful. So this was, this was a picture that represents both Biella and the questioner, right? I tried to bring that in, and again, it's about peace and happiness. Again, it's a big theme. I got asked that question a lot, which is rather interesting. And the key to these questions, they were all earnest questions. Yeah, Lisa, you're in here too, by the way, and Norma, both of you. You asked me very earnest questions. So. It's quite marvelous. It really is. They do something to me, and I love them. I love them. Again, a bit more zoomed out, and again, I like the artistry of this, where you know, uh, it's not necessarily an entirely realistic landscape, but it's not like all weird and crazy either. It's creative, yes, and the way the light works, and the representation, positive and negative. I don't know. I just like this where it's mostly dark, but there is some light, to represent that. And of course, we know when you look at this, the picture indicates the problem with the question. Yeah, you may be looking at the dark, but it's not all dark. When those clouds clear and the sun rises, then it's going to be light. Some days are dark, but they just some. Yeah. So subconsciously, subliminally, these pictures are representing what's in the article. At least to some extent. It's hard to do, by the way. Symbolic art, metaphoric art, figurative art is very, very difficult. Anticipation and expectations, especially when you are dealing with abstract concepts, payoffs for negativity. So I tried to put the pictures where they can connect to these subheadings. Yeah. Both anticipations and expectations. You can say, okay, those light, it's an anticipation, it's an expectation, it's out there in front of you, but also payoffs for negativity. You in the dark here, and you kind of, it seems like you don't know what you're doing, but hey, here's a guy's got a light and he's moving a bit. See, abstract representing this. So I just a little clues, little tiny bits. This one is very obvious. This is very hard to achieve, by the way. Now, the style of the art, not entirely ideal. It's kind of international also, which I happy about that, because I always write internationally as much as I can. Yes, I know Biella has got a Western look to her, and I'll show you later on where I have an image of Biella that's more international, as what I imagine, right? Because if you look at how the story comes about, with the seeding and sending out, seeding the stars, where humanity gets together, and this project started essentially by the roots of the new nobility, and to send out our a, a, a a fleet of people out into this new galaxy that they found a way to go to. Well, this story started before they even knew how to get there, but then they got there. And anyway, so it's like a couple of million people that go out into this galaxy. Now, of course, if you've got a couple of million people and they're from all over the world, they're all going to mix together. And after a few generations, or where the story picks up with Nobelia, it's a couple of centuries later. You're not going to have specific ethnicity anymore, right? Because it's a small pool, they're all merging together. You're kind of going to get that fused look of everybody together, right? Which is cool. It's just the way it happens out. Well, anyway, this one, what are the positive thoughts on ignoring? So I thought this, okay, vowel and the headphones and reading, and you got the smile and everybody all around you. Okay, the article's a bit more subtle than this, but it absolutely represents positive ignoring, so at least some idea that it can be possible. Yeah. Well, I mean, the article and Biella's response is a lot more sophisticated than just doing that, right? And deliberate focus, this was, I don't know if this necessarily represents deliberate focus, but I wanted a zoomed out picture, and it's very hard to get paintings in the way I'm creating them, to get it to show zoomed out. I have a few, but not, and especially with an abstract in the background, and so there's this focus, a deliberate focus on this distractiveness, and below you, things not necessarily being a bit clear. So you're starting to make them clear and you're creating it. So I liked it. It was very cool. And besides, it's just pleasing to the eye, right? I like this picture too, as a little different Biella. And it's coming closer to how I imagine Biella. She doesn't have such a cutesy haircut, not so close cropped, and the face is definitely longer, right? Biella's not conventionally pretty. She's not unpretty either, because she's got good character and good qualities, and that's going to represent in your features. But she doesn't have this conventionality to it. And of course, in the future they have good skincare and healthcare and all this. So so this is going to definitely represent healthiness, right? But mainly it's about representing character. Like this one, this person, to me, they have a thoughtfulness and a sophistication, right? They're not just shallow, yes, but also kindness and generosity, and there's a humility. It's not an arrogance here, yes. So things like that, it's hard to have represented, because when you are using all of the tools, and you say, well, thoughtfulness or depth or being, it's very hard to represent. Yeah, well, we know it when we see it, but to actually represent it deliberately, this is very hard, especially when they're all together. You can show in one thing, yes. So this I liked. What was this? What was this chapter about? What type of comments can make someone happy? All right, so this is a mention of capital D diplomacy. And that's why this particular picture comes in, where more they're sitting around. It's almost like this is a conference of some kind, right? Conferences and stuff like this, capital diplomacy, negotiations, treaties, whatever. Capital diplomacy. This would be good for the chapter on capital diplomacy, but that's in book 2. So I like this. Now, this type of scenery, with more on the art. This is when I published the Biella series. Like this, Ask Biella, she's answering questions in its articles. And this is in our world, because she's talking about real world stuff. But the Biella series is out in the future. And then I'll use more of this type of art, to represent the beauty of Nobelia. It's an incredibly beautiful place. Everything is art. Now they wouldn't have such boring chairs, I gotta tell you. But all right. They'll have more beautiful chairs. But okay. This is the one concession a little bit here. And they'll be differently attired too. But that's hard. That's really hard to show the sophistication style of how their appearance. It's a very particular thing. So in this case, it's not appropriate now, but like I say, for Biella, they would be dressed differently also. All right, more Biellas. Now I thought, yeah, a little bit of a different Biella, but more sober, but more serious, yeah. What are the effective ways for an individual to positively change society? This is a big topic, right? You got all the societal stuff around it here. You got kind of a lost person, and then, I don't know. It's a cool picture. Anyway, I thought, this is also this idea from the boy of this alternativeness, yes, different reality, kind of an unusual tree in a different world. This is the whole city over here, I guess. So again, boys and imagination, or youth. It doesn't have to be a boy; it could be a girl too. Just happen to be, right? I try not to have only one gender. Yeah, it can be whatever. I think if I could have more aliens in here, I do too. But I want to make the book too. It's a book for this world. It's not Nobelia, so in Nobelia they're aliens, but in this world not so much. Well, not that we're aware of anyway. And this one was, showing mindfulness or training your brain and the difference between the two. It's interesting how people ask questions to which the answer is, they ask either or questions, and the answer is both. Which is more preferable, mindfulness or training your brain? Why don't you want to have both? It's that mentality of opposites. We tend to think in either or, and we always have to have what is better. If you take one and leave out the other, it's not better. Having the two together is better than either one on its own. Oh, it's amazing. And so the questions are so revealing. Now this one I like. This one I like as a Biella. Right? It shows all of it, and you know, it's not that classic beautiful. To me, it's just a wonderful, beautiful picture. And again, too, what was this appropriateness? There you go. It's that look. Are you being appropriate? That bit of questioning, yes, appropriateness. Not even asking, are you appropriate, but just this in the forefront of awareness, this appropriateness. There's that implied question, right? Bringing up this as a subtopic. It's implied. Are you being appropriate? No comments yet. Yeah, well, no Lisa, no Norma. But anyway, I'm sharing as if they are here. This hopefully, or maybe not hopefully, maybe they'll watch it some other time. So. And for anybody watching, hopefully this is interesting to anybody who, as I do have people that follow me elsewhere, so it's not just here. All right, I'm going through all the art here just to show you, Lisa, what is capable and what's available. But it's all about what you're trying to achieve, right? Your intent and the elements that you're using to create it, and to know what you are. Clarity of intent, module 1, session 1, way of impeccability. the easier, the more clear you are about your intent, the easier it is to represent. Now, it's still difficult because these are abstract concepts, right? And the question is, are there any expert opinions or perspectives on the use of assumption in building knowledge? Now, the art isn't just to the question. The art is to, at least the first ones typically are representative of the entire article, right? And so, yeah, you have this massive library, but you're also walking on books. So it's not to represent the library, but to represent knowledge and this light in the dark. And then you got the overview perspective of, overview universal knowledge and understanding too. That, compared to this, which is a lot, the universal, this is nothing compared to a lot, even though you're standing on it, you're immersed in it. And this also represents that you'll find it where you don't necessarily think it will be. Biella said, "Why do they have a lantern when there's so much light around?" Just the way it came. Just the way it comes, right? Another different Biella, a little bit thoughtful. I mean, okay, a little bit fashiony maybe, but again, it's difficult. When you see what I have to choose from, it's hard. It's hard. A bit of a tranquil scene just to break it up. And, not everybody likes abstract art. So little different there, just something a bit more conventional. Anyway, what was this? This was a very, very teen specific question, right? Well, not specific, but I mean, yes, older people ask the question too. How can I make him see I'm not like the rest and I like him genuinely, not because he's popular and because he's witty and funny and not an attention seeker? How can I even get him to talk to me? I mean, it's commonly and stereotypically a teenager question. So of course I have a younger one here, which can also represent a younger Biella, right? But also in that thoughtfulness and a nice person. And Biella's writing it to tell this questioner, be yourself. Your moreness will come through. So she just simply assumes or takes it for granted or treats the questioner as if, not even as if, treats them and connects to their moreness. We all have it. We just got to bring it out. So very cool, very representative. And this was relaxed self-acceptance. This is very hard. I might change this picture. I do like it, but a little young, but okay, I want to connect to their youth also. So because like I said, I never treat children as children. I treat all children the way I treat anyone. Doesn't matter. You know, I speak to them the same way, interact the same way. Doesn't make any difference. I mean, yes, sometimes they don't know what I'm talking about, and that's okay too. Different perspectives. I like this. I like this, looking at things from two different angles. It came out pretty cool. So yeah, to me, children, I remember when I was very young, I understood stuff. Like I was sharing the other day, but when I went with my father on the rounds, when he went on house calls and the people all, talking earnestly and seriously, life and death, because somebody close to death typically, or potentially so, and I made myself seen and not heard. Well, both not heard and not seen. I heard incredible stuff. I understood exactly what they were talking about. Yeah. So I think children understand more. They learn not to because they can't handle what they hear, and because it exposes them to so much hypocrisy and contradiction and awful truths that they kind of make themselves stupid. I saw this happen in friends that I had. I saw it happen where they were younger, they were sharp and together and they understood. And then as they grew up, and before they even got to double digits, it happened in that, single digit ages. They stopped seeing, they stopped hearing the truth and the moreness. I'm pleased I never did. I really am. I'm pleased I never. Well, because I had that public side and the private side. If I didn't have that, I would have been forced to. In the public side, you can't have that awareness. So I kept it to my private side. In the public side, I was just ordinary kid, did whatever, and wasn't paying attention to that kind of stuff. But I paid attention to my private side. More of this. Anyway, I'm just scroll a little bit faster just to get the full view of all the art, because I am looking to share the art with Lisa so that you can see what it is, right? And get an idea of the moreness of it, and this, a lot of different styles. I also try not to be too specific on the styles. I try to mix them up, and some things. Okay, I just like this. I just thought this was cool. Infectious ethics. What's the one? Leveraging perspective. Okay, so this has some perspective. You're coming out underneath here, a little stream. You're kind of hidden. That indicates perspective. Yeah, it's also a cool picture. So sometimes, it's hard to find stuff that's always appropriate. It's in some way, but not super much. And so I just put it in because I like it. Now, this is where I love this. If I were to say I have a representative style, which I never have, but a dominant one, absolutely. I love this style. You'll see much more of it coming later on. And in book two, especially more of it comes. So also I tried to I start like in the programs, a lot of art in the programs. I start off very basically and very minimally, because I know if you start off and you like really give the max, then you have nowhere to go, and you're expecting that to be maintained all the time. You got to kind of build up to things a bit, right? It's very hard when you already have it all in the start. Don't dump all of your most in the beginning. Save it a bit, so because we expect progression. We expect progression. So I love this, and there's more of this style coming. This abstract realism, I call it, which I absolutely love. But it's Moreness art. That's a better name for it than abstract realism. Moreness art. This to me, Moreness art. It's very cool. And what was the bonus understanding? It seems like bonus understanding to me. But again, our brain has an inordinate capacity to match meaning to image. Yes, there's a word for it when it's about the clouds. So same thing here. It doesn't necessarily. If you were to say do a case study on it with a what do they call them, groups? Not a research group. Uh, I don't know, when they do studies and like products, they have groups. There's a special name for it that's just escaping me now. Uh, if you put this in front of those groups and ask them, what does this mean? What does this represent to you? They're going to come up with 1,000 different things. They aren't necessarily going to say bonus understanding. But if you ask them, does this represent bonus understanding? On a scale of 1 to 10, now you're leading the question, right? And then they might say, yeah, sure, I can see bonus understanding in here. Okay, 6, 5, 3, whatever. But when you ask them, what does it mean to you just in and of itself, if you were to give an abstract understanding to this, I don't know. It could be a lot of things, right? Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, there's a bonus quality to it with this radiating, this understanding, same thing, radiating, complexity. So, yeah, maybe some will get there. This one I thought was most excellent. This really revealed, should you hold on to something that doesn't make you happy? I really like this one. It doesn't have that art style. It's very conventional. It's like almost like a photograph, yes. But the fact that is in this, and there's the reflection, and he's standing in water here, and he's conventionally dressed. He's obviously got a suit on, right? And he's holding on to these dark balloons. There's the idea balloons are supposed to make you happy, but well, not dark balloons. Yeah, I actually saw a listing for black balloons. It was the most amazing thing. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure in what environment you'd use black balloons, and they advertise it for children's parties. I question the appropriateness a little bit when you have black balloons at the children's party, but yeah, Anyway, so I thought, and obviously holding on to this, yeah, and standing in the water here, that doesn't make you happy. The idea that you should, and not realizing it, and I don't know, there's so much layeredness to this art, and of course, same with the article. Really excellent, really excellent. That's makes me very happy, very happy. This one too, I liked. Oh, you know what? I've used this before. Uh, so I've got to take this out and put another picture in here. Okay, well, there it goes. See, that's why I go through these things. I did it before, but now that I'm going through them more deeply, uh, I I I see that I have used it before. And this one is how do you become a happy pessimist? What a fascinating question. I just don't know how to think positively. Now, I don't care for the art where it has writing in it, especially writing that's but scrambled like this. But in this case, it's very appropriate because the question is a happy pessimist. So you got a perceptimist or an optimist or a perceptimism, which is that merging and combination of the two, which I kind of like, right? And I don't know if this person represents a happy pessimist, but they certainly are more or less happy without, radiating huge amounts of cheer, and their place is a bit cluttered and all this. Not that that's a negative, not to me at all. I mean, it's very cool. But anyway, it represents it, and then there's the light shining in here, so. I just don't know how to think positively. This could be the person, and they don't realize that anyway. So, and it's a very cool article, and Biella again, and not looking directly into the camera, and nice and sophisticated, thoughtful, and all this. Yeah, just a face, just a face. This is my favorite. I try not to have favorites, by the way. I very much try not to have favorites because it tends to devalue everything else. But I love this picture. I absolutely love this picture. And Biella is slim. It just is not because I'm saying it's better or worse. It's just how I pictured her, and it goes with her personality. Because she gives a lot of herself, and a lot of people who give a lot of themselves, so extra much, they always spending their energy, and they end up being very slim, very slender because they burn away all that energy. And so this is appropriate, right? And I also like that this face is what I was saying with Biella. Now the hair, yeah, all right, maybe today, this time Biella's got straightish hair, but she has that curl and her hair's not kind of this neatness like this. All right, it worked out nicely. But I also love this from a Nobelia world point of view, with a growth like this, and this could be Cliff City in a way. And the sophistication and the elegance. Elegance is something that's not inherent. And when you again, when you go on the internet and you ask for ideas of elegance, people just confuse it with wealth. It's got nothing to do with wealth. I know people who don't have much money at all who are very elegant. It's got nothing to do with wealth, right? So and the sophistication and the caring and the kindness and the delicacy and the humility and the sensitivity, etc., etc. And I just love all of this. It really represents so much of not just Biella, but Nobelia and all of the qualities of Way of Impeccability. Yes. And Moreness. It's a Moreness picture. And I was very pleased. I shared this with Lisa earlier on, and I'm very happy that you love it, Lisa. I'm very, very, very happy that you love it. Okay, no problem. No problem, Lita. No problem. No problem. I'm sharing as if you yeah. Okay, we just answer. No problem, no problem. All good, all good. I'm just glad that you will have a look because I love sharing this stuff with you. I love sharing this stuff with you. And I think I've shared, well, I don't know, we're going to share rules of sentience. Well, all right. I think I've shared enough art. I have tons of this art, and this book is going to be very different. And again, I'm gonna. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, this particular program highlights things like this. I have no idea why, so it takes the art off. But I wanted to share real. Just scroll through it and zoom through it. Okay, well, let me do it in a different way. I'll show you in a different way to show all the art as a I shared this with Norma. Now I'm sharing with others too, Norma. I love sharing. I love sharing. I mean, it was special sharing it with you, Norma. It was very much so. All right. Pictures. Ask Biella covers. I've got tons of pictures in all these files. I mean, they're huge, and there's the short list, and this is cover pictures for book two. Well, anyway, but these are the ones that I used. Yes, and let me make this full screen. And I want to just give an overview here of all the art, yes, that I've so far used. Now, like the one there, I had a duplicate, so I'm going to have to find something to replace the duplicate and put it in. But you'll recognize some of these, like we read this article, and this was the first picture in the article. This one is interesting. This one, because it represents the way the new nobility dress. Now, this is not for Ask Biella. Okay, I put it in, but when I post the when I publish the Biella series, then this type of thing is going to be more common, right? Because I'm not going to go into the whole long thing about appearance. It's not about looking brilliant. It's not about attention. It's a long story anyway, but you'll see more of this in that book. They have their own very unique style, and this is certainly, I mean, no two look alike ever, but you will recognize it when you see it. So that's pretty cool, right? Very nice that came out that way. Um, and this kind of thing too. You just they treat, well, it's a long story. There's a very particular reason for it, and I like this one too because I seldom see, I seldom have nice pictures where you see more zoomed out, where you see the full person. Yes, so this is kind of cool. And again, Biella she's lean like this, she's slender, but this one, I don't know, Biella's quite this tall. Yeah, she's not excessively tall. He's slightly taller than average, but not excessively. No, Biella's physically not exceptional. Yeah, but you see, this is you can now start to get the feeling of the overallness of the art. Like these ones are an art style I personally absolutely, it's very representative of what I wish to represent and accomplish. As opposed to this, which is a little fuzzy for my liking. And actually, I this one I don't think I ended up using it, so it must go back into the general one. I know it says covers, but I started off trying to get a cover, and then it went from there. So it just Ask Biella files, really. Ask Biella art, I should say. Yeah. Okay. Whenever you come up to things like this, just as a good tip, do it now. Later never comes. Yeah, you say, "Oh, I should do this." Don't say that. Do it now. Why wait? Like I say, later never comes. Ask Biella art. There we go. It's done. Doesn't take very long. I love this picture. Oh, hey, what happened? Oh, defaulted to the default view. I was going to say this one picture that for perspectives, multiple perspectives. Oh, it's just too fantastic. Anyway, I really get a kick out of the art. I really enjoy it very much. And here's another nice one of Biella too. Again, she's slender and slim. Yes, that's important. The hair is wrong, but that does have that slender and slim. And again, not that conventional beauty, just a nice person, but it also can represent the questioner, which I like. Very hard for me to get again. This one I couldn't get it again. This is the picture I wanted to show. This one, right? It's a painting. It's not a photograph. But it's very photorealistic. Now the hair is wrong, but in terms of the ethnicity, this is sort of an amalgamation. Okay, it's very much Northern Hemisphere amalgamation, but you have more or less across the whole of the Northern Hemisphere. Yeah, somewhat. At least it's somewhat international, I feel. At least more so than I would like it, even more international than this, but this is as close as I could get. And so I put this at the end of the book as a potential Biella. you know, and I like this. Yes, it's maybe in that classic conventional beauty, but I know many women that have a look similar to this. simply because they make an effort and they care about themselves, not because they're inherently so, right? So beauty is something that is not necessarily that you're born with it. Much of our beauty comes from our intent and our character and our way of being. Morgan Fairchild, maybe, you know, what was it? Flamingo Row was the big soap opera that she was a big star in. She's an actress from days gone by, maybe a bit. But if you can go and look her up, right? Look up early pictures of Morgan Fairchild. I actually saved one of her when she was a teenager. And then she just said she decided that she was going to be beautiful. And when you see the picture of when she decided, you say, holy moly, right? She made herself beautiful. She changed physically, dramatically, profoundly. A very potent story for me when you see that picture of her as a teenager and what she turned out to be. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Anyway, I was saying I like this picture, and I like this one. It's the only picture I have that is kind of, that could be mistaken for a photograph. Very photorealistic. All of these, but I wanted to show a more international Biella as a realistic option. It's hard to do, and it's still not ideal, but I have to just sacrifice. I've spent I don't know how many countless hours working on this, and you see some of these are obviously variations, and I use them in different parts, and maybe I'll replace them. Where they kind of the same style, a different look. But again, there's a consistency between Biella here. I don't know why I got because it's you have to convert them, right? So in this one's a duplicate, but I did try and get sort of a little bit of a consistency with Biella, but it's not in my mind what Biella looks like. But anyway, it's hard to get that. It's hard, 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 hard. We're getting a little bit, yeah, get a little bit closer. I want to show a little bit. I like this one too. I think this one is also at the end of the book. But again, not 100% Biella. This is a kind of a young Biella. It's not too bad. Again, the face is a bit too round again. But anyway, it's amazing when you have an idea and an image. I want to show just quickly the cover for book 2. At least, well, this is the short list of potentially what I wanted. I just put the extra in here. I knew I wouldn't use them. Because why? Too young. Okay, staring into the camera. That's important. This one a little off somehow. This one a little too soft, maybe. See, anyway, and this one is like, man, don't give me these super red lips, and I don't want them. I asked for no red lipstick. Anyway, closed mouth. It's very hard to get pictures with a closed mouth. Anyway, the one I'm going to use is this one here. Oh, there we go. This one, yeah. Very sober, very, very, again, no nonsense. I got my act together. And you, as a reader, are you coming into this for nonsense reasons, or are you for real? Do you really want to know? Do you really want to know? Are you serious about having your questions answered? Even if you're not asking the questions that were asked, you're asking similar ones. Are you serious? Are you earnest about having your questions answered? And again, looking into camera. And it matches the first one in that look. Now, some of these, like this, they get closer to the face shape of Biella. The hair is coming a little bit, with this kind of, I don't know if tousled is the right word for it, but I wanted a bit more down the sides. Loose, again, a loosey style. And these all have it seems like they sort of tied up or shorter. But anyway, that's amazing, how much you have to go through to get what you want. When you make art in this way, it's curation, it's patience, it's perseverance, it's thoroughness, it's discipline, persistence, and being particular, being fussy. None of these, they're all okay. They're nice pictures, some of them, but they're not right for the book cover. So at least not in what I want. And, you might say, well, that's a bit harsh, maybe. Yeah, but when you're dealing with self-improvement and self-help, do I want to listen to somebody who is just going to give me band-aids? Yeah, no. See? No, that's no good. So at least in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but you never know. All right, let's go to the other point that I wanted to share here about rules of sentience. Now, did it open my file? Uh, no, I don't know why. It's amazing, Norma. Every time I do this and I open my files, it's a default that those will open. See, that's not working right now. When I click here, it's not opening the file. I don't know why. Anyway, I'll see. There's other ways we can. I've learned already that sometimes you got to do things in a different way, and then you get creative. See, yeah, it opens one file now, and now I can open in recent files. And where's rules of sentience? Uh, why is it not showing it here? Huh. I don't know, Bina. I mean, I don't know, Norma. It's not showing me. Typically when I open up the word processing file, it automatically, there's one. Where's the other one? Where's rules of sentience? Okay. Anyway, if I open this, then likely it will show. This is my dictionary of power, really. File. But anyway, it came about in a long roundabout way. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, for whatever reason, it's not showing it. Okay. The rules of sentience is a big deal, and it's a huge project. I mean, if you look on my if you look on my any if I look, yeah, I've even got I've got a bookmark tab for it, and and a lot of stuff that went into it. Anyway, it's a huge project that I will put out. But again, it's all about the timing. I don't want to put some of the stuff out before all the elements are in place. It will just go nowhere, and I don't want to waste moreness. Now, the rules of sentience came about. Um, as so many of my ideas come about somewhat randomly or inspired or just inspired is the wrong word. Just stimulated and my mind jumps. I was watching Star Trek. Now, if you're a Star Trek fan, you'll know about the Ferengi. Yes. And the Ferengi are a horrible society. They're just a greed culture, absolute greed culture. That's what they're all about: greed, making money, and greed. And they have what they call the rules of acquisition, and they quote these many times. You can go look it up on the internet, and you can. It's an actual thing, right? Because people put it together after a while, and I'm assuming the writers had to have, because the characters would quote from this rules of acquisition all the time. It was really cool. It's not. I can't do anything right now to open the file, but anyway, I'll get to explaining about rules of sentience. And these rules of acquisition, especially in the one series where they're on Deep Space Nine, because one of the main characters, Quark, he owns the bar. He's a Ferengi, and then his brother comes into it, and his brother's son, and anyway, so we get to connect a lot more to the Ferengi, and they keep quoting these rules of acquisition. And what had happened is I had watched the series before, but then I watched it all together, binge watched it, in other words. And I got to see that these rules of acquisition actually made of all the cultures in Star Trek. Now, yes, mostly when they have cultures, they are exceptionally cliched. Yes. Well, they don't show cultures as very much depth. It's like, well, humans are this, and Vulcans are all logical and all this. They don't show much variety. Of course, there's no such thing as a typical human being. It's an absurd idea. But yet, when they show cultures, then they tend to show them all according to the stereotype. Like all Klingons are all aggressive and violent. You cannot have a sophisticated civilization based only on people who are all aggressive and violent. You'd have no science. You'd have no medicine. You know what I mean? It doesn't. It's not realistic. However, the Ferengi showed this variety. No matter what they did, the rules of acquisition were still in. In other words, if you were into medicine, you were doing it for the profit involved. Yeah, because you're supplying a need that's in high demand, right? So there was a logic to it. Everything was motivated by profit, and no matter what you did, right, motivated by profit. And if you couldn't do it, you'd finagle somebody into doing it. Finagle, yes, they and it's a greed culture in which ethics and morality they don't exist. It's about making profit, right? So it's taking the superiority paradigm and combining it with greed. So it makes for an appropriate culture where that dominates. But what I saw was that these rules of acquisition gave this culture a depth and a cohesiveness that really made you see that the Ferengi as a society, as a civilization, you can see the depth and the variety and how this held them together and gave them a cohesiveness. And even though the characters like Quark and his brother, they're vastly different, and then Nog, the brothers, I forget the brother's name now. What is his name? Anyway, the brother's son's name is Nog, and Nog actually joins Starfleet as a Ferengi. He's the first one to do it, right? And he becomes very different. But what I'm saying is these rules of acquisition gave them that cohesiveness where you could have individuality, but they still came from something that they had and could relate to. And of course, they all use these rules of acquisition to justify whatever they're doing as appropriate. And it was a guidance, right? It was a guidance. It provided a way for them to live. Yeah. Now, it's a very messed up guidance. It's really terrible. Rules of acquisition, the name says it. So I thought, wow, I mean, it's terrible, but it's also kind of cool. Yes. It's cool in the sense that it gave this cohesiveness to the society. I said, you know, why not have rules of living? But I didn't even go there. I didn't go from rules of living to rules of sentience. I went right from rules of acquisition to rules of sentience. I said, why couldn't we have rules? And again, rules is very loose here. I mean, even the rules of acquisition aren't really rules, they're guidelines. But we like this idea of rules because we don't want to think for ourselves as an average. We want to avoid responsibility, so we like having rules. But we don't want to have rules that are too restrictive. We want rules that we can bend and twist and adapt as appropriate. But I thought, why not put together something where these rules are of sentience, are of being, and rules that we can all agree on? And this was my intent. Rules, and I think I said from Mrs. Taliban to Miss, I don't know, Hollywood maybe, yes. Or like, I don't know, I think I used some hyper progressive uh, uh, culture, a representation of it, like, I don't know, San Francisco or something, right? But there was a particular area of it. Anyway, from ultra conservative to ultra progressive and anything in between, right? I would say that no matter what culture you come from, what religion, what belief, you would agree that patience is a good quality. Yes? I don't know, maybe in a hedonistic, well, even in a hedonistic culture, you're going to say patience is good because it'll get you what you want, right? I, I can't see any culture really saying that, oh, uh, impatience is a good thing. Yes, right? I don't think so. I can't see that. Yeah. Anyway, so that was my idea. My idea of the rules of sentience is to put together a list of, well, rules again, they guidelines, they conceptions, they understandings, and most importantly, they are self-evident sensibilities, which which would be universal. And not just, I mean, universal in the true sense of it, right? Not just for this, our human culture, but any culture, sentience, in other words, yes? I thought this would be a really great project. And so this is how the rules of sentience came about. Now, before I actually show the rules, which I'm about to find here now, uh, it didn't open automatically because of the earlier mess, Norma. So I have to find it on my hard drive here, and I believe it's in this file. Let's see, date modified. Uh, that's the top. Oh, I guess it's not here. Where is it then? Uh, is it here? I put it in the Biella series. Uh, Anyway, when I got into this, I really got into it, and it became this big project that I spent tons of time on. And when I started, I had a whole ton of these rules, and I put them all out there, and then I added more. But before I did this, I really thought about what would be necessary, the criteria that are necessary for making a rule of sentience. And that's what I want to really share, not the rules themselves. Uh, man, I really thought it was in this folder. Oh, maybe it's here then. All right, never mind. Uh, Ross, why is this not here? Here we go. Here we go. Uh, that's the one. Okay. Here we are. Here we are, Norma. Here we are. Now, before I go into the rules themselves, let me go to where so I thought this would be, and when this idea came to me, I said, this is something that would be really cool if the United Nations put it out, right? After I'd made that initial list, and then I really thought about how would this work, how would be appropriate. And then I actually did a bit of research on the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. And there's some amazing stuff that happens here, right? And in the preamble to the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, they say, "Now, therefore, the General Assembly proclaims this Universal Declaration of Human Rights as a common standard of achievement for all peoples and all nations, to the end that every individual and every organ of society, keeping this declaration constantly in mind, shall strive by teaching and education to promote respect for these rights and freedoms, and by progressive measures, national and international, to secure their universal and effective recognition and observance, both among the peoples of member states themselves and among the peoples of territories under their jurisdiction." So to me, this is the United Nations telling you that you've got to do something like this, right? Right, to promote respect of these rights by progressive measures. The rules of sentience is exactly that. It is to promote not just respect for the rights of this declaration, but the rights of sentience, not just humanity, but sentience. Furthermore, they go in Article 26, they said, "Education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality and to the strengthening of respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms." Exactly what I had in mind for the rules of sentience, right? And even more, right? "It shall promote understanding, exactly, tolerance and friendships," right? This is, to me, its way of impeccability. Yes, the new nobility, all of that stuff. And I wrote the Biella series before this, by the way. So this was the whole idea among all nations, racial and religious groups. When I saw this, it was like, man, they already have it in their Declaration of Rights. Because I just thought, oh, this would be cool if the United Nations could adopt this, and they actually have it in their in this declaration and the articles, right? That and shall further the activities of the United Nations for the maintenance of peace. This is exactly what the rules of sentience are all about, bringing us together in something that we can all agree on, right? Rules of sentience. I mean, yes, there are rules of living, but they're rules of sentience, rules of thinking, rules of being, in other words. And further it goes. A member nation shall be required to include exposure to the rules of sentience as part of their primary education to facilitate Article 26. Now, I added that in. This is me. And it makes sense, right? When you see the rules of sentience, you can easily imagine that they would add this amendment to them, right? Article 29 says, everyone has duties to the community in which alone the free and full de development of the should be there, not his, of their personality is possible. I can't stand this inadvertent misogyny. Even in the United Nations, come on, people, you should know better. They don't even realize they're doing it. It's just so default. Yeah. Change those habits. Anyway, so my way, this needs to be changed here to be their personality. But still, everyone has duties to the community in which alone the free and full development of personality is possible. I mean, how cool is that? That's exactly what this. Now, I would also change personality to character. Yeah. They mean this, obviously, but when you think about it, again, people aren't given to depth of thinking. Even the people who drew up the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, it's self-evident. Personality is very different to character, yes? I mean, we have personalities to suit the occasion, but characters will stay the same. So I think they mean character as, but again, many people confuse the two. It's very common, right? So I thought this being included into this from the United Nations is important. Now, Norma, you wanted to know what the rules of sentience are, and this is rules for the rules of sentience and more. This is just me having fun with things, right? So, to me, in creating this rules of sentience, and I have a big plan for it. I want it to be an open source in modern words, right? Open source, an open project. Yes, it's going to be moderated and admined by people. However, I want the whole world to have the ability to have input and the rules not to be fixed and locked like the Ten Commandments. No, to be dynamic. And as such, once a year, it's Rule of Sentience Day. Like you got days for everything, and it's like a big deal. And you get the TV saying, "Okay, rules of sentience coming up," and all of this, and all the internet, and everybody gets to vote on whether or not rules will get removed and new ones added, or not removed, just added, just expanded. In other words, you get to review the rules and they stay dynamic. Now, maybe it doesn't change, but there's the possibility, right, through this voting on it. And there need to be sufficient votes and not just a few people are interested, right? But still, if you want to submit a rule, anybody can submit a rule, but it must conform to these criteria, right? And these are self-evident, which is the very first one. The rules for creating a rule of sentience is the first one here. Strive to point out what is self-evident but not obvious. I need to make this a little bit bigger here. Where's the way to zoom it? I don't know. Used to always be here at the bottom somewhere. There was like a zoom button. I don't know what happened to it now. Uh, because you can't read it now. Yeah, I can make it like one touch bigger. Uh, uh, I don't know now. Mm, hang on. Hang on. I think if I hold down control. Yeah, there we go. See, I'm glad I remembered the shortcuts. Control, control, and you use your zoom, your mouse, the wheel on your mouse, and then it makes it bigger. I think. Can I do it one more without losing too much? Yeah. All right. So the first rule is strive to point out what is self-evident but not obvious. Like when I was pointing out about, the full development of your personality. I pointed out, oh, likely they mean character. It's self-evident once I pointed out, but it wasn't obvious if you just read it. See? Same thing. So the aim of Ross, or the rules of sentience, is to find a commonality of which binds us together. That's very cool, Syl. Now that I read this, I haven't read this for a long time. That's very cool. Strive to point out what is self-evident but not obvious. Ross 1 is a good example. Yeah, the aim of rules of sentience is to find a commonality of If we can have a commonality of which that will bind us together, right? Avoid preachiness, instructions, commands, absolutes, or directives. Absolutely. Absolutely. No one wants to be told how to live. Give examples, give ideas that are self-evident, which when you read it, uh, well, yeah, honesty, patience, etc. Well, See, that's what we want. And when we have this where we can agree, we are going to say, from a cultural point of view, it doesn't matter what you are. If we are talking and we come via the rules of sentience, we find commonality. We say, yeah, but we agree on the fundamentals. What does the difference matter? It's like we have good character. What does the personality matter? You can be as weird as you like. I know you're a good person. See? Short, preferably. Front load to facilitate abbreviation where longer is necessary, e.g., efficiency is wealth, personally, economically, and spiritually. See, the first one, you get it all front loaded. Efficiency is wealth, and you can abbreviate it. You can even cut out the rest, and you can just have efficiency is wealth, right? It's very important to understand. Not that you want to be in a wealth culture, but personally, right, is personal wealth. And in the well, I'll show you more. Don't get the wrong idea of this one, but just save it. Simple, clear, poetic, poignant, and profound. Three P's there, right? Poetic, poignant, and profound. If possible, for example, personal definition is a cozy box that easily becomes a prison. It's maybe a bit cliched, but the cozy box becoming a prison, but not in terms of personal definition, right? Oh, yes. We seek these personal definitions, but be careful. It's a cozy box that easily becomes a prison. It's not saying don't do it. It's not saying it's a bad idea. It's making it clear that it can easily become a prison. Don't let it become. See? So it's giving you all this choice, this option. And it's sharing something which, when you think about it, that's the whole point. There's so much moreness and value in the world that's there for us, but we just don't think about it, right? So these are to provide that on your behalf, but it's not telling you either. That's the other extreme again. No, you still got to think about it a little bit, but it encourages this and facilitates you thinking about it. Appropriate to all. Rules of Sentience geared to be read by the widest possible audience. So care has to be taken to avoid alienation. Think Mrs. Taliban, the Bible Belt, to New Age, to average school child, regular folks, blue collar, white collar, intellectuals. Although not so much them, maybe. That's just me being cheeky with myself. This is really for me. Right? I made this for myself to remind myself. So, okay, yes, but intellectuals also, students, politicians, UN and celebrities, conservative, liberal, independent, and way out. And especially writers, bless them all. Me again being cheeky because writers are very kind of lots of way outness there. All right, I'm having fun with myself here, but okay. But you get the idea to everybody, right? If you truly can get this to appeal to writers, that would, where they could agree on it, that would be the greatest feat ever. Because if ever there was a group that had the widest range of disparateness, it is writers. I mean, they will agree that they are writers, but that's it. It ends there. It ends there. I mean, literally, it really does end there. None of them do it the same way. All of this, right? The goal is to find insights, uh, which are, I prefer which to that, but okay, that are useful towards sentience, not obvious statements about living. For instance, the difference between joy requires no reason as opposed to be joyful. See, be joyful is an instruction, whereas joy requires no reason. Yeah, it doesn't. But think of the implications. Joy requires no reason. Why am I not joyful? See? As supposed to be joyful. When I hear be joyful, I don't know, I heard this preaching and teachers and all this. I immediately balk against it. BAULK. Yes? Resist. I stop. It's like I put up a wall when I hear be joyful. It's like you're telling me how to be. Okay, being joyful is self-evident, duh, but I still don't want to be told what to do, even though it's something that is like duh. Yeah. But when you say joy requires no reason, you're not telling me to be joyful. You're saying it doesn't require no reason. Is that true? Yes, it's self-evident. Requires. It has reasons, but requires. See, it's the specificity of language. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all this because it will take a long time, right? But you can see obviously there's a lot that goes into this, right? Use mnemonic devices if possible. Don't get fancy or clever or show off. Use erudition to simplify, not confound. Keep it positive. Utilize inadvertent. Anyway, it's very sophisticated. This. And if you want to be contributing to this, there's a lot to it, and the intent here is to reveal, show, imply, provide choice. Right? I mean, this is what I do every day. I apply these in what I do in my writing. Now it's really very, very precise and specific. Yeah, no personal statements, no personal pronouns, etc. Right? Write as many alternative processes. Anyway, this is really cool. I mean, this is it's a fantastic project, and I can't do it justice in an half an hour. I mean, this. Never mind one open. This will require a whole series. I probably could spend a month or a year on all of this, right? I'll just scroll down. What was the next underneath this? Oh, where did I go? Why did it go so far down? Why did it go to the beginning? Huh. I don't know. That's very odd. I just wanted to show you that underneath this, I had um, more depth, in terms of where I lay out the whole um, underlying philosophy and long-term goals, and how it would set up. It's when I get involved in a project, it's TV show user videos. I look how to share it and promote it and put it up. So there's just a ton of work. Infographic ideas. These were key concepts involved. Okay, now let me go and show you the rules themselves. Control home. Now, when I made these, so we just scroll it over a bit so that we don't have those first two columns there. Come on, there we go. So when I first put them all out, they came out in a whole torrent, and I had dozens and dozens of them, right? A whole huge long list of them, right? All of these different rules, and then I said, how can I sort these in a way that makes sense? So I remembered this book that's called the Book of Days. And it was very cool. And I liked the way the guy used language and he named all of the days, right? So I said, that would be a cool way to do it. And at least to try it and see, well, maybe, as opposed to just putting them on a calendar, because I thought, well, I'll put them on a calendar and you have a rule of the day. And then rule of the day, book of days. You see, that associate of my mind works like that. And so I use this book of days, which I won't include in the rules of sentience because the book of the days is copyrighted. I suppose I could get that person's permission to do so, but it's not really appropriately connected. It's a bit of astrology and psychology all mixed together, so it's not quite appropriate. But it was a fantastic list for me to use to sort the rules, because it turned out that that I it just worked out so nicely that this January 1, the day of the emotional organizer, okay, belief in any of the rules is not required, right? That's Ross 0, which it sets the standard for all the rest, right? So belief not required, believe without believing. See all these alternatives. That's part of what I was in how to make the rules. You make one rule and then you make alternatives. Because when we say things one way, sometimes we get it, other ways we don't. But when you state it in multiple variations, then you get it. And then there's this extended perspective, which puts it in long form. And you got key concepts. And then you've got How does this rule of sentience make a difference? You got comments, anything that exemplifies or exhibits this Ross, art, videos, movies, music, whatever, right? And how does appropriateness connect, right? All these different columns. So the idea is at that time they didn't have sliders. Yeah, but the idea is to do it. Let me show you. The idea is wow, my things, I haven't rearranged because I rebooted, so my tabs are all out of order now. Uh, it's usually in tab 4. I don't know where it is now. Create an image. No, that's not it. Your orders. No. Uh, where is it now? Uh, I don't know. Well, we'll just have to do it the hard way then and go through them one at a time. I want to show you. Well, I suppose I could just open up a new window and do it that way. I want to show you an example of how I imagine this to be set up. Right? I mean, a spreadsheet now, obviously not the most ideal. Um, I use this to some extent on the website. I'll show you in a second. It just has to load. By using sliders, in other words. So you've got the rules in being a vertical, yes? Like this could be, well, that's just one slide. It's not a slider. And this could be rule 1, and then this could be rule 2, and so on, right? As you're going through. But now you've got, like in this year, it says the rule 1, yes? And then you can go and you say, okay, well, I want to see what the alternative rules are. And it may show rule 1 and the alternative rules at the same time, like, over here. But then you can say, okay, well, I want to see the alternates. I want to see the long explanation. I want to see all the other columns, right? So each rule, you're going to go horizontally to explore it, and then vertically to see more rules. Yes, much like these are now sliders. They both have more going left and right to them, right? So they're going to go horizontally for depth, for extra, and vertically for additional ones of the main column, of the main thing that you're thinking. That's why I think of this main column idea. It comes from this rules of sentience in my mind. The main column, right? The main column is that column 1. Yeah. It's all I got too many windows up, right? So this column here, which is the rule itself, this is the one, right? So we get to rule 1, which is January, self-requirement. The meaning and purpose of life is to develop and enhance awareness. Now, this one is an exception in that it's a bit tellified, but in the C column 0, because it's got a long explanation to it. Yes, and alternates. This is one where it says, no belief required. Test it out. Go, don't believe us. Just go and test it. When you test it, you'll see it so. And then the universe is geared to aiding in the development of enhancement of awareness. Yes. Again, it's something which at first you might, but when you read more and you see and you test it, you see it so. Right. Then we get to, you know, this one. I quoted it. This was one in the articles. The individual alone is the final arbiter of truth. If governments, religions, civilizations only will acknowledge this, everything will change. It's a duh when you think about it. That's it. In the end, you the final arbiter of truth. It's built into religions. Like it's not made so clear in Christianity, but it is there in the Bible somewhere. But it's actually very clear in Islam. The difference between humans and angels is that humans have choice, free choice. Angels do not. They go by their mandate, what they have to do, orders, right? That's it. They don't have free choice. Yeah, this is not me saying this. This is in the scriptures. But us as individuals, when it comes to sentience, so they don't have true free will, obviously. When you have free will, you're the final arbiter of truth. There's no way of getting around it. No matter how much the church or whoever wants to say this is the truth. You have to decide whether to believe them or not. In other words, in the end, you're the final arbiter of truth. Anyway, I don't want to get into the rules themselves. I was just using it as an example. The path to sentience is a marvelous adventure filled with wonder and awe, where learning is a fun discovery filled with gifts of awareness. It is the path to uncovering our universal birthright. Again, these are ideas, they guidance, they aren't rules. They aren't rules for living. They are ideas which set you on a path, which open your mind, which broaden you, which you connect to others. Yes, a marvelous adventure. You can come from remotest Africa, China, South America, Alaska, whatever, it doesn't matter, wherever you're coming from. We say, oh, Path of Sentience is a marvelous adventure filled with wonder and awe. Yeah, where learning is a fun discovery filled with gifts of awareness. It is the path to recovering our universal birthright, which is awareness. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I can subscribe to that. It doesn't matter how you do it. It's an adventure, right? It's all individual. In the end, we have to figure it out for ourselves. There you go. If you want the freedom to insist on your own particular choice of differences, then we must prepare to grant that same freedom to others. Hashtag celebrate difference. I mean, if you want everybody to come together from different worlds, never mind different nations, never mind different religions and cultures, right? If you want freedom of choice, you must grant that to others also. Can't say you must believe my way. No. Being appropriate in all contexts, from universal to global, from local to personal, is the ideal. See, again, the rule doesn't say you must do it. It doesn't say you must be appropriate in all contexts. It just say that's the ideal. Yes, of course, we are inappropriate most of the time, and we know this, but we try and be more so. We try and be more so. But again, you see, you can get more idea on it. You can get more idea. If you don't understand it right here, you can investigate more. So this is what the rules of sentience are. It's a very profound thing, you know. We're usually at our best when we're humble. Opening a culture to all, free from genetic constraints, broadens the horizon of the whole world. That's a very sensitive one. A lot of people don't want to recognize this. They want to keep it. They want to keep their cultures closed based on genetic constraints, and it causes division. When you see that, no, open your culture. You're not going to lose your culture when you loosen the genetic constraints. You know, I knew people that had not 1 ounce of Japanese blood in them when I had the sword and knife store. And this happened regularly. They were super into the samurai culture. There was a whole bunch of them, right? Or medieval culture. They went to the Renaissance fairs and all this, right? Okay, Renaissance, okay, still in their genetic history in some way or another, but that's why I use the samurai, for instance. I knew two guys in particular, Eric and Brady, to name them specifically. They lived like samurai. They knew everything about the samurai and all about the swords and the culture and the history and everything. The average Japanese, I can't say for sure, but I would be quite happy to gamble that they didn't have this level of detailed knowledge about that. Now, they were into that culture, but they're not Japanese. So can they be a samurai? Well, if you hang on to this geneticness and culture, you say, no, they can't be real samurai because they're not genetically Japanese. Come on, really? Seriously? If you take your own genetics and you go far back, where do you come from? You weren't Japanese when you started, you were something else. We all have genetics from elsewhere. So this idea that culture has to be bound to genetics is it's just terrible. If I'm into something, why can't I be part of that culture? And if you do open it up, those people are so representative of samurai, no matter that they have a different genetics, they are furthering samurai culture. If you're into samurai culture, this is cool, right? Yeah, so yeah, it's a very cool thing for me. This is a very big deal, and this one might be a bit controversial though. Difference and variety are a necessity since each individual awareness is unique and needs its own unique path. So again, when you read the first one, difference and variety, a lot of conservatives, and this is what conservative means. You don't want difference and variety. And you say, are a necessity. No, they're not. No, they're not. Since each individual is awareness is unique. Oh well, yeah, my awareness is unique, and I need my own unique path. Yeah, but you have to agree to my unique path to be your unique path too. Yeah, but it's unique. You see, it exposes that oxymoronity when you don't think things through to the end. So this was the intent behind it. Now, this is still to me, this is only like the very first draft of this. Okay, maybe it's draft 1.5, but I have tons of work to do on this, and any of these here are up for change and revision and removal. And I haven't done that kind of scrutiny. I just put down what I had, I organized them more or less, and I matched them more or less. Heroic inevitability. The only way to truly defeat an enemy is to make them your friend. It just matches very cool. Fulfillment, making peace with ourselves is liberating. Yeah. It's like I like that matching there. But anyway, it's tentative, right? All of this, even though I put a lot of work into these already, it's all still tentative, right? There's a lot of work to do this. And this to me is a project which I feel has to be a communal project. Yes, you can start the basics and then, have people from all over the different world and say, okay, let's make more of them. And let's start saying, let's do this. Let's start refining and saying, okay, we've got an order more or less. Yeah, it's not the most important. Yes, those first three set the tone for what comes, right? Belief not required. That sort of has to stay, because this is very important. You want to make these belief independent. Otherwise, people who are very religious are going to put in a rule that, there's a God and all this stuff, right? To them, this is an indispensable rule, but you can't do that. You can't say that if you want to have a rule of sentience. Let's say aliens come. Are you going to insist to them, that they have to believe what you believe in? And they may be wiser and more ancient than us, and they say, well, we actually know God, but it's not what you imagine. What are you going to say then? See? So we have to have that openness. Anyway, I hope that shares what the rules of sentience is, Norma. Again, you asked me earnestly and earnest questions. They do something to me, and I'm sharing. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. And again, this rules of sentience, I feel is a big project. And as we're seeing this like American politics, the split, the diversion, and it's so intolerant of each other, and they have no common ground. Whereas they actually do, but they don't think they do. They don't realize they do when they actually do. So this rules of sentience is not just commonality between political parties, but the entire world, and by extension, in the future, whatever universe we have, other planets, other civilizations out there, who knows? We may come to, we tend to think of when the aliens come that they're going to represent like the whole culture will be like the aliens. But you know what? If we were to go out into space today and you put some astronauts in there, they may come from one country, and that country may be, a country, it may be let's say Saudi Arabia. They got the money to do this. Maybe they send the thing out there. Yeah. Well, if that Saudi Arabian spaceship is the first to make contact with an alien planet, we hope they don't judge all of humanity based on what is going to be a representative of Saudi Arabia, which the kingdom is gonna put into place. The ruling powers, they're gonna choose who's on that spaceship, etc. That's how that culture's set up, right? Uh, so they're going to have a culture that represents them. They probably have somebody from the royal family on that spaceship. Yeah, they're going to represent that whole hierarchy, dominance, religious culture. So we just better hope that the aliens are smart enough and wise enough not to assume that this is what the culture is all about, that the whole planet is this way. Yeah. So we have to be careful when we think of alien cultures in the same way. To me, this idea that aliens are this homogenous culture, it's ridiculous. Likely uh, the more advanced, the more civilized they are, the greater the amount of diversity. The only thing that will be the difference is that they've learned to accept diversity and celebrate it, and they're all working together, right? And you have a whole, yes, you have a singular planetary government and all this maybe, but it's because they've learned to accept difference, not fight with each other all the time. But again, diversity will be more profound, at least in my understanding of the obvious logic of how things progress. Because if we look at our civilization, we've become gradually more and more tolerant of diversity. You go back into the Middle Ages, things like the Inquisition, totally intolerant of diversity. Yes, and all the wars, the crusades, intolerance of diversity. To have crusades today, they had children's crusades where they ran out of adults because they all got killed, and they enlisted children to go on. Okay. The insanity of it is mind blowing. You don't hear about it because we live in a Christian culture and they don't want to acknowledge this, the awful truth of it, the absurdity, the preposterousness of it. And I just know Christian history and Western history a bit better than. You find this all over the world. It's not unique to the Western world. You find it all over the world. Insanity, basically the insanity from intolerance of difference, right? Which is why that rule of sentience is there about celebrating difference. All right, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. No comments. It's all good. And Lisa and Norma both. I hope you do watch this later because it very much, I'm sharing because of things you asked me about, right? And when I get asked earnest questions, they do something to me. Earnestness has a profound power on me. I can't really leave an earnest question unresponded to, not answered, responded to. Yes. Or even it doesn't even have to be a question. It could just be a comment. I don't think, Lisa, you asked me a question specifically. Well, you did, but it was more an earnest sharing, an earnest commentary, right? Earnest perspective. So anyway, it's a big deal to me, and it does a lot to me. So I hope this is of interest to you. It doesn't have to be valuable, just of interest. All right. On that note, I shall leave it for tomorrow, and then we'll be back again tomorrow. I don't know if Bina will be back tomorrow. I think it's the last day of Eid, but maybe we'll get lucky. If not, we'll see you on Sunday with Bina for sure. She'll definitely be here Sunday. All right. Bye bye, everybody. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Yeah, yeah. Go in Moreness. Bye bye.